Hello there, my name is Kuma, and today I'm giving you my first impressions on Eblana with the codename Necrass. Eblana is finally being released, and with her, hopefully a good close to the Dublin lore. We expect to see Reed as the leader bringing justice to her people, now that Eblana got what she wanted, which was to have Reed realize that she should be the one leading the Dublin. Regardless, Eblana is here as a Shaper caster, to no one's surprise to be completely honest. It is possible that you don't know yet what a Shaper caster is, considering Techno has not been released on Yen yet, but basically, Shaper casters are necromancers, just as Eblana was as a boss in the Reed Altars event. The Shaper caster trait says that they can create summons by defeating enemies, and can attack enemies blocked by their summons. It's a super cool caster class, and you can expect Eblana to be really strong, because you'll know that summons on 6 stars don't have small stat numbers. Remember the past. And you can already tell from her talent. Eblana's first talent summons one of her undead soldiers whenever an enemy is defeated inside her range. This is important to remember. She doesn't need to kill the enemies herself. Any kill will activate a summon, as long as it's inside her range. These summons can be upgraded with a stat increase if Eblana has reached her maximum number of summons. If she already has 3 soldiers and another enemy dies, one of her summons will gain a boost to all his stats: attack, HP, defense, and block count. And as far as I'm aware, these summons don't decay, they only go away if they get killed or retreated. One cool thing about how they designed the Shaper class is that Eblana herself will always be able to help her summons, because it's common to find yourself in situations where you want to deploy a summon from a summoner, or from a tactician vanguard for example, at the edge of the operator's range. And at that point, the operator can't help with basic attacks anymore, it's outside their range, only the summon will be able to attack, and it's left to fend for themselves. Shaper casters, and Eblana of course, because she's one of them, thanks to their trait, are always able to attack whatever their summons block, even if they end up being raised at the edge of their range. This is really cool. And I'm reinforcing this to you because even if one of Eblana's summons appear at the edge of her range, you don't need to feel bad that it's getting an upgrade from her talent. It will be able to block more, tank more, deal more damage, and still get help from Eblana herself. It's just as effective as a summon next to her is. Hyperglyph released a special video just for Eblana, showing her entire kit, so we actually know her second talent too. It's an execution buff, just like Absinthe has it. Eblana and her summons deal more damage to enemies below a certain percentage of HP. This talent isn't anything special, of course, as my old granny would say, more damage, more gooder, but nothing to see here really. So let's just move on to her skills. Eblana's first skill has a passive and an active effect. Her passive effect makes it so her summons create an explosion around them whenever they are summoned or upgraded. It's an arts damage explosion that can be controlled by the active effect of this skill. If the skill is activated, all summons will be resummoned, which will trigger an explosion around each of them. This of course will refresh their HP and stats in case they got a debuff for example. And if Eblana has no summons, she will summon one soldier instead of refreshing the ones deployed, because there are none. Really simple skill, but it already looks great for the class. The power of Shaper casters is in their summons, and this skill simply puts a summon on the field or refreshes the one already there, and of course deals some nice damage on top of it. Simple but effective, a great skill 1 to have. On her skill 2, Eblana has Sleep. She sleeps a certain number of enemies inside her range, and sleeping enemies will take arts damage every second. So this most likely will combo with other sources of sleep. This seems to work the same way as Indigo does. Indigo can deal damage to all bound enemies inside her range, but she doesn't need to bind them herself even if she can. Eblana seems to do the same thing, which is really cool, I like that. And then because this skill isn't over yet, if one of her targets dies during the skill's duration, she will summon her maximum amount of soldiers. This is really neat for quickly putting down all her summons. A single dog walking inside her range will become 3 guys. But even after you have all of them, the damage on this skill seems neat enough from what they have shown us, so I do believe she will do great even not considering her summons just as the skill itself. Now for Eblana's skill tree, because this is the sauce. This one also has a passive and an active effect. On her passive, Eblana will be able to always have a single special summon which will have the appearance of one of her defenders from her boss farm instead of a basic soldier. This defender will always be the first summon even if all of them die. It can come back at any time just like the others. The cool thing is that this defender can be upgraded multiple times instead of once like the normal soldiers, but it cannot be upgraded normally just by killing an enemy. The defender has to be upgraded with the active effect of this skill, and it says that Eblana deals one big AoE of arts damage to all enemies inside her range, the same as you would see in Leonhardt's skill 2 for example. But then, the skill also sacrifices one of her normal soldiers to upgrade her defender and heal him up. If the summon sacrificed was already upgraded, the healing is higher. But there's more. If she succeeds in sacrificing one of her summons to upgrade her defender, the skill activates itself a second time. It doesn't go forever of course, this can only happen once per skill activation, it doesn't chain itself non-stop. But it will be a double skill regardless. 2 instances of arts damage, 2 upgrades for the defender. As long as you have 2 basic summons on top of her defender being there, of course. But what is nice to notice is that even if Reed doesn't have any summons once she activates her skill, if she can kill 2 enemies within the activation, that will already be enough to summon her defender, summon a sacrifice, sacrifice it, and repeat the activation. Because there is an order of operations here, and the soldiers are summoned before the sacrifice happens. They really made sure this skill would work wonders as long as you're not clicking it on a boss or something. But that's not all her S3 has to offer. Eblana's defender also has a skill of his own, which is like amazing. This guy is basically another operator who takes no deploy limit. It's basically what Monster is inside the S4 cult seat. She's just a medic and Monster is just an amazing guard. The defender has an auto activation skill, and it deals AoE arts damage in a straight line in front of him for a few seconds. And we know this will be strong, because they have shown us the stats for this defender guy. We just don't necessarily know the modifier of his skill yet. But we know that when he is summoned, he starts with 3700 HP, 600 attack, 500 defense, 20 res, and 2 block. But at max level, he goes to absurd 12,000 HP, 2000 attack, 8000 defense, 20 res, and block 4. This guy is basically as strong as the actual defender from the event. It has some stats shifted around, more attack, more defense, less HP and less res, but it's pretty close. Eblana might not be her exact boss form, but she sure as hell brought in her real soldiers with her, okay? Look, you know I don't care about power levels in the game and all of that snaz, so I will tell you what I honestly think about Eblana. She is hype as fuck. Because of her summons exploding on her S1, or her zip synergies on S2? No, none of that. It's because we are playing with a cool defender on our side. This is basically the same hype I got the first time I saw a shield guard fighting with us. I don't know what there is to it, but seeing an enemy on our side is way too fire. Sure, this dude needs to be upgraded and everything, he won't be super cool just when he is deployed. In some maps he might not even have time to reach his final form, because it is tied to Eblana's SP cost. But who cares? I know I don't. I do like Eblana's lore and everything, but with a cool kit that just sells the cake. And you don't even need to ask me twice. The defender, it just got me. What can I say? Well, now tell me what you think about Eblana in the comments. Do you think we'll see more enemies being brought to our side in the future, just like that shield guard and the Eblana defender? Let me know what you think. And don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed our talk, and I hope everyone has a very nice day. Peace out.